You're listening to the Ward Weekly Podcast with our host, Walter Latham, and our co-host, Michelle Sweeney McCombs. Voices in society impacting the culture.
All right. Hello, my name is Walter Latham, along with our co-host, Michelle Sweeney McCombs, and welcome to the Walt Weekly Live podcast, which Michelle coined as Friday Live. So welcome to our Friday Live. Maybe we are being somewhat paranoid, or maybe this is just something that we're seeing, or maybe we are just reading more into what we're seeing than we should be. But the title of this show is the entertainment industry playing divide and conquer with Black men and Black women. And this may transcend just entertainment. All right, let me make that perfectly clear. But I've been seeing more Black women and less Black men. We're already, very few of us been seeing anyway. So we've got an uphill battle regardless. But I'm seeing more Black women than Black men on shows right now. Now, this would be good, right? But now, I'm seeing fewer Black men. All right, so that's the offset. Why can't we all just be moving up and all just be showing, meaning Black men and Black women? So I would like to know, what can we attribute this to? And should statistics, which are not available right now, I looked to try to get some stats to substantiate what I'm talking about. Well, should statistics prove us right, we're good. But they may not. Maybe a while. Maybe nobody thought about studying this issue. All right. But on the other side of the coin, we may be just peddling a new conspiracy theory. I'm just saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know that Black women hearing this may get pissed off and say, well, y'all guys, we got to do what we got to do. So
it's our time now.
Have always been. Black women are the strongest people, in the United States. I acknowledge that, and people in the world acknowledge that. All right. Y'all guys started at the bottom. You got to get jobs. You got to raise a family. You got to make sure, you run everything, basically. But I just got this question, and because what I'm seeing on television, I'm seeing at the expense of Black men, I'm seeing more Black women. So that's what today's show is going to be about. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle so that we can get started talking about this.
Michelle? All right. Thank you, Walter. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Walt Weekly Friday Live. It's sponsored by Beauty Blends by Ami, Soap and Love, and Michelle Sweeney here. Our intro and outro music will be provided by Uncle Nephew and BD3. Today's guest panel, we have Gregory Coleman out of North Carolina, CEO of Illumination Media and Technology and engineer at the Walt Weekly. I will post all of his information in the chat room. Our next guest is Ernest J. Robinson out of Washington, D.C. He's a Sergeant, U.S. Marine Corps combat veteran. He's a senior consultant at B. Ernest Leadership and a professional consultant. We may have extra people coming in, but right now we just have our audience.
Thank you. Thank you all. I think that the inclement weather is going to, I'm surprised we got as many people on the panel as we do, because, we had bad weather up and down the East Coast and Midwest and everywhere else. So, a lot of people, when I say a lot, I'm talking about our core people. Some of them may not make it because of it. So excuse us, but we're going to push forward. All right. And the first question I have is, why do we see more Black women on TV and in the movies? If you do, what would you attribute this to? And what's the attribution here? All right, I'm gonna call. I mean, I'm not gonna call him, but just feel free if you can take a position on what I just asked.
Yeah, I'll this Ernest.
All right.
I'll yeah, I mean this is obviously this can be a very contentious topic. But seeing more black women on television, I think we have to go back, into the 20s, 30s, and fast forward to the 70s with black black exploitation type films that were being made, and then the portrayal of just women in general, but obviously for black women especially, not always been shown in the best light. um and so I think that there should be a shift in being able to have representation of what black women really mean to our households, to our families, and to our society. However, the reduction in black males being the superheroes, being the I'm sure that a lot of us have seen the recent movie of Judas and the Messiah.
Yes.
But we can see the importance of reducing the prominence of the black male and elevating the black woman. And that in itself was a mind is a philosophy that even goes back to slavery, where they you know take the body but strengthen the mind of the woman, and take the mind, but strengthen the body of the man, but take the mind. And so those you can see those things kind of replaying themselves, and so I kind of see there's an adjustment to the portrayal of black women on TV and in movies. I see that as a positive, but I also see it to where it can be an opportunity to reduce the presence of strong black men being portrayed in TV and in movies as well.
I never thought about it like that, but I mean, you make a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Greg, and do you have anything to contribute there on this
Most
particular
definitely.
question?
Most definitely. I don't know. This is Greg. Um, I mentioned before on a couple of occasions when talking about other topics. One of the things that's primary to me, important to me, is the prominence of the Black family unit. And one of the things that I think comes against that is portrayals that we see of ourselves in the movies. And I think Hollywood, in an effort to go out and show diversity, as they call it, and be inclusive, as they call it, their efforts to be inclusive, usually what comes across to us is you see so many instances of them, their ideal of the strong family unit is the black female and the white male. Commercial after commercial, movie after movie, TV show after TV show. When you see us, we're either in comedic roles. When you see the black male, he's in a comedic role. He might be the the sparring, usually with a black woman. There's always some kind of contentiousness that's involved in the relationship between the black male and the black woman. And you can't help but think of how that impacts the viewer. So, as a black male, as a black person in general, you got to see a problem with that. You got to it sets an image. Then from how do white folks look at us? Like that's what they expect out of black family unit. So I think that's something that has to be dealt with, has to be addressed, has to be, you guys, your idea of diversity doesn't sit right with me. And so That's one of the things that grabs at me when it comes to that subject.
Yeah, so you say you're basically saying what I see, that there are more prominent roles and given to black women than to black men. I mean, if I was to just extrapolate everything that you said and come down to just that little bit of that sentence, just I mean, black women are being replacing black men in prominent roles. So,
yeah,
are you saying that?
Yes, yes, in the media.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong. I think whenever you want to bring up this discussion, our objection to it can be misconstrued to think we have a problem with them lifting up the black women, and that's not the problem at all. I say you can lift up the black family unit, black women, black men, black children, without putting down the black man and putting, other men in the place where it suits you.
All right. I
Right.
want to
I,
hear
what,
a woman's point of view on that question.
Yeah, I was gonna
Michelle.
say, in my opinion, back in the 60s, 70s prior, there was always men that directed these movies and television shows. Now you have so many women like Regina King, Shonda Rhimes, other women that are directors now and producers now, and they're making stories about women. Lifetime Movie Channel is just strictly about women's stories. So I don't think it's that there's more women are dominating. I just think they're coming out with more stories for us. So that's my opinion as far as that's concerned.
Okay. All
and
right. So what
I
Michelle is
wanted to
basically
add to
saying,
that,
yeah, go ahead, Greg. I mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ernest.
Ernest. Yeah, that I think that there's a obviously credence to that because we also have to look at the consumer because it's not necessarily so much as to what people are putting out, it's what are people consuming, what do people want to see. If movies and television shows that are being put together are getting more views and more people are buying the movies and everything else with it, then now there becomes a demand of wanting to being able to see that. But then in the same breath, we have to look at the
Right.
psychological impact of that as into, well,
Mm-hmm.
why would we want to see a black man who is not involved in his children's life? Why would we want to see a black man who does not respect his woman and she's somehow being saved or exalted, by another race? And but that's something that we want to see. So there's a dynamic that is there, that it may be kind of perplexing to try to pinpoint, but that there's something that's there as into reason why certain things are being produced and or why certain things are being demanded, therefore being produced and consumed by our society.
Okay. Well, I mean, Hollywood, and I mean, regardless of whatever business you're in, is driven by money. Okay. So if they think that bringing in black women at the expense of black men is going to make them more money, then that's what they're going to do. Right. It's just simply a monetary or financial decision. But I think it transcends that in the sense that they I believe that is somewhat of a divide and conquer, because when the woman goes home and the man and meets her husband, boyfriend, or whatever, they're working a lot of the times, and wherein the black man is not. So I think that there is some hidden agenda. That's why I say I'm pushing a conspiracy theory. But I do think that with this transition from being from the black man to the black woman being elevated over the black man, I think there's a little bit more to it than meets the eye, which dovetails into what I was saying earlier about what I've observed.
But let's also look at some of the your most popular television shows featuring black women. Hollywood or Housewives of Atlanta, and hip hop,
Right. Love and
love
hip
and
hop.
all these different love and hip hop, right? But a lot of those relationships are dysfunctional. Like I've never seen a group of friends who just argue every single day. People who are
Negative.
millionaires and right.
Mhm.
So there's still a sense as into, I mean, and again, not trying to delve into any type of conspiracy, but it's one thing to have it's I don't know what the purpose is of having such a show if the ultimate thing is to elevate the black woman. This doesn't seem to me to be shedding the the essence and the best of black women, because these shows are again are very highly contentious, highly toxic, and but
Right.
people consume them every single day. I mean, there are groups that talk about them. They don't miss a show. They don't miss they follow them on IG, and everything else. And so there's something there to where
It,
maybe it's a cry out for
it's
help. Go ahead,
entertainment.
Michelle.
It's entertainment. I mean, these are reality shows that, they are negative. They're not going to have you on the show unless you could bring something to the show. The Atlanta Housewives started out positive. All the women were positive. They did positive things, but they wanted drama. And the young woman, I forget her name offhand, that actually produces Love and Hip Hop, she won't have you on the show unless you come in with dramatics. So, and most of them, D and Mandy just put it in the chat room, they don't even know each other. They're just put together to do the show. So a lot of them don't like each other, but they know people like drama. And it's not just us. You have the Orange County Housewives, but it's the black shows that have more negativity with it. That's the problem that
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I see someone in the chat room saying they're selling sexuality. So
Yeah, that was
what do y'all guys think
that
about
was
that?
and yeah, that too. And you know what else too? You're selling fashion, you're selling wigs, you're selling everything that comes along with it because they're trending things, whatever they do. There's a lot of people that are watching these shows. They're gonna follow everything that they do. They're gonna put money in other people's pockets. It's a whole big thing. Like it's
Uh,
just not a reality show. They're promoting stuff as well.
One of the things
But
we
does
have to
the
differentiate is just like, like Ernest was saying, before he was, marveling at, why, if you're trying to portray women in a different light, that you portray them, this way. When you portray us across the board in a general light, well, I don't think that's what their goal is. I don't think their goal is to present us in a positive light. Their goal is to
Mm-mm,
make that,
mm.
that cash
right?
register ring, to
So
get
now we
cause
have
to get
the
viewers and
20.
sell, and that's exactly what they're doing. Then forget about how you portraying them. They're we gotta align with this dollar.
But that,
So we have the 21st century black exploitation,
yeah,
Yeah,
black
yeah,
that's
exploitation.
really what
yeah.
it comes down to.
Yeah.
But that's basically on the reality shows. You do have the television shows, the weekly series where you have Angela Bassett. What's the show? 911.
911. Yes.
Okay, you have her. You had Grey's Anatomy. You have all of these other series, weekly series that you do have black women portraying strong parts. But reality shows are what's get people that gets people's attention.
You mean
Unfortunately,
reality shows that ain't really reality,
that right,
but
exactly.
but they want to
Right,
But they
convince
right.
call
They're
us.
them
scripted.
reality
They
shows.
want to
Yeah,
They're
convince us that
scripted.
this is reality, and
yeah,
and
Right,
that's where the
right.
damage is done. Because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of folks do believe
Yeah.
that this is reality.
Right. Diamandi just said that TV makes money from the ads and sponsorships. They do. The
She's
goal of any
absolutely right.
business is to make a profit. And that's exactly right. Going back to the reality shows, they're sponsoring someone. If someone is sponsoring, they have to, advertise for these companies where they can make money. And then they're blowing up on their, social media pages. People are following them. They're actually bringing their products, on there that they're selling. So, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, Michelle. I just brought someone in, and it's a woman.
Oh, that's my sister, Denise.
Hey,
You see, I
folks.
mean, come on,
Hey.
hey,
Good evening,
welcome.
one and all.
And I want
yeah.
Diamante to
How
dial
you doing,
in
Denise?
because she's in the entertainment industry, and I want to have her point of view.
Yeah, okay, let's give Niecy her a shot. I know she got a lot to say. Go ahead.
Not
All
too much,
right.
but good evening, folks. I just
Good
chimed
evening.
in.
Welcome.
How
Thank
are
you.
you, one and all? Hope everybody's
Good, thank you.
doing okay, at least health
Fine.
wise.
Fine. Thank
Yes,
you.
You know, the
definitely.
subject of the reality TV shows is it's a problem as far as I'm concerned. It's a distraction. Yes, it's entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's about everybody getting on there, hustling, putting their products out for their own self gain. But
Right.
it's keeping people drugged up, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
intoxicated. It's like alcohol and drugs. It's a
Mm-hmm.
diversion from their everyday problems that they're dealing with, and they look at this reality, which is not ours because it's theirs. They're living that life. We don't live that life. We wish that for us, or at least some of us wish that for themselves. But
Right.
these women are not, doing this for the betterment of the masses. It's really a self-serving act as far as I'm concerned. And
Mm-hmm.
when people sit up there and they focus in on these shows, it distracts them from the day-to-day things that are going on in their neighborhoods, like voter suppression, uh healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
education. You still have people at home that don't even have internet so that their children can chime in and do their schoolwork.
Right.
So I feel that the reality TV shows, to me, because I don't watch them no more. I've been gave up on them. I mean, it's just garbage. It doesn't fulfill
Right.
a need for me.
Right. Right.
I can watch documentary channel and get more out of that than watching these females with all this fake stuff that they wear. Nothing on them is real. You know,
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I
it
got a
puts out
question.
self images. The
Yeah.
I
Go
false
got
ahead.
images
I
for
hold-
black women.
I got a question, and especially and back to the topic as far as replacing black men with black women. So recently, I think about a week or 2 weeks ago, they Queen Latifah is now the equalizer.
Right.
But we
Right.
done watched two movies with Denzel Washington
What?
at.
No.
Oh, y'all didn't know that?
No.
I watched The Equalizer.
Oh, I
I
don't.
I
support it.
love the
Yeah,
Equalizer. I
I
can't
watched
see
it.
a
I
woman
watched the
playing
first
that
one.
part though.
well,
Yeah.
not even
Queen
that. Not even
Latifah. You got
Queen
to watch it.
Latifah.
Yeah. Queen
What?
Latifah. Yeah. It started Super Bowl Sunday after the
Yeah,
Super
it
Bowl.
did.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
did.
Yeah.
but
I haven't
So
watched it
but I
though.
would, yeah, I would like to know. But again, the subject of replacing, the strong, male, obviously a strong black male could have played that role after we don't watch
Exactly.
Denzel Washington do it. But
Right.
now we have Queen Latifah. So to part of what Walter
Hmm.
was saying with the question, why is that? Why would
Yeah.
that be the case? Why did they not find a strong black male to continue to be the superhero, the vigilante, doing the best good within the community? And
Right.
considering we have two females on the phone,
Yeah.
what do you see
I
as a
I
contribution to that?
well, they could have came up with something different. Why do you have to mimic that? I like
yeah, that's a
I
strong.
can't that's a
That's a tough road
strong
to follow. Yeah.
yeah, I don't think that was a good move. Like I wouldn't even be curious to
Exactly.
watch it. Like that they should have left that alone. Like come up with
I'm
something
not
new.
gonna watch it. I'm not.
I don't think that's gonna be
Remember
a good thing.
You're
I don't
not
I
gonna
don't
watch
remember
even
it.
that
like the
show with the
concept.
Hawk? The show with the Hawk. It was on ABC. Came out
Mm.
Yeah.
88, 89. What's his name? Avery.
Avery Brooks, I think it was, right? Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
That show was a hit.
Hmm.
It was a hit. And what
Hmm.
happened? They took it off the air because it projected an image that they did not want to become
Positive
the
image.
norm for people of color in this country. Okay?
Well,
And
they can always.
there are so many struggling actors in Hollywood, black males that don't have to dress up like a woman to get a role, to get a part, to get a job in Hollywood. They could have gave that job to them. Not dissing Queen Latifah. No, she's a good actress. I like her, but I don't think she was right for that particular show for that
Yeah,
reason.
I
Wow.
know my
Plain
wife
and
said
Right.
that.
simple.
And my wife,
I don't think
I
so.
watch it. My wife watches it with me, but my wife doesn't like that role.
I didn't even know it was on. Thank you. I'm wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I watched the entire
What'd you
first
think?
episode after the Super Bowl. I mean, it was something to watch. And again, that's where we're talking. I'm not ripping down Latifah. She did a good job in portraying it. I don't think you should have used her in that role.
Well,
That's just it.
I can't recall the name
Wow.
of the executive producer and director. She's another Shonda Rhimes, but she's not Shonda Rhimes, but she's the first Black woman to have a contractual agreement to produce shows for a major network. And it's on CBS.
Mhm.
All right, so y'all guys can look that up. But I did notice that I did read it somewhere. All right, but it didn't fit into the scheme of this show. Otherwise, I would have focused on it. Maybe a show down the road, we focus on that because behind the camera is where the action is. Diamandi, will Diamandi be able to?
She's
Okay,
in the
all right,
audience.
okay,
She's
but
in the
she's in the
audience.
house. She's in the house, so maybe
Yes.
Diamandi can provide us with the name of this Black creator, director, writer
She's gonna
that
call
did
in.
the Equalizer.
She's
Gonna
gonna
call
call
in.
in. Yeah.
Okay, great.
That's not the sister with the dreadlocks, is it?
I was reading. I didn't see any picture, but yeah, but she's a trailblazer because of what she's accomplished and what she's doing with the Equalizer.
But I think this is, something we talked about earlier. Is you put somebody in that position, you put somebody in that somebody like Latifah in that position. Do you put her in because she's the best person for that role, or are you trying to push the agenda of we're going to put a Black woman in this role? Is it just for
Right,
I understand. It's
right.
it's a debate to have.
Yeah, I
Which
agree with
one
that.
is more beneficial? Which one is, but after a while it's just like, it almost seems like they're doing it because they want to throw us, two bones at one time instead of one.
Yeah.
I
All right,
think it's part of
Diamandi,
the
welcome.
scheme.
Diamandi's in the house. She works in the
Hi.
industry.
How
So,
do I mute
Diamandi,
myself?
I'm sorry.
Hey, dear Mandy, thanks for coming in.
Hey, sure. I just wanted to make sure I know how to mute myself so I'm not creating extra
Okay.
noise.
All right, Diamandi, I know you've been in for a while and you've listened. So I need to know what your take is on my question about, the elevation of Black women over Black men in the industry. What are your thoughts?
I think sometimes we look at situations from a discrimination standpoint. My motto is always follow the money. And so I know that there are negative things that exist, like, discrimination, misogyny, and other things.
Mhm.
But a lot of times I think that people are taking the straightest route to making a profit, whether that's investors or studio executives. They just want ratings because ratings bring in ad revenue. And, the higher rated your show is, it gets in those premium time slots. And these big brands, the Nabiscos and the bread companies, they pay more money for shows that bring in a higher ratings that play on these premium time slots. So a lot of times I think that's what's going on. And then with the case of Queen Latifah, so that's another thing. Sometimes we think about, well, why is it this over that? But because I'm in the industry, I can see that a lot of times a project gets pushed forward because someone pushes it forward. And the two considerations with Queen Latifah and the Equalizer are, number one, and I'm not like anti-gay, but she is gay, and sometimes women in that community take on more, maybe less traditionally feminine roles. So I think that's part of it. The other thing is, I'm not sure who spearheaded the show. Number one, it could be a team of women. Like when
Right.
Beyonce did her tour, she had a whole women women did everything. It was like, I don't know, a 60-person women band or something like that. So
Right.
women's rights is really trendy right now, and it keeps getting even more and more trendy. And you have, the Shonda Rhimes of the world and Mr. Walter. I'm not familiar with the woman you mentioned at CBS.
Deborah
Yeah,
Martin Chase.
Yeah, Deborah Martin Chase. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I just think that's a
Thank you,
really
Ernest.
popular thing right now. And I don't know, maybe Queen Latifah was behind this show coming forward, because that happens a lot too. A lot of those who have made it in Hollywood, sometimes we think about their big break, but some of it is because they've produced their own content. And I don't mean, YouTube and Instagram videos. I mean, they create a production company and they create full scale blockbuster projects. And that becomes, how they elevate themselves. The Wayans brothers did it. I think Dave Chappelle did it. So sometimes people, I think, are able to move up in the ranks just because they take the initiative, and it's really trendy right now. So for women to do that,
Right.
so it could be that investors are more willing to put dollars behind women, because women's rights, again, is a hot button topic right now.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that women's issues are a hot topic now? What movement would you associate that with, or is that just standalone movement? Every woman for itself. Every woman's pushing. Is there a movement to bring more women in?
I mean, I don't know if there's a movement. I think it's been happening for a long time. I mean, women couldn't women couldn't own property, and then women couldn't drive, and then women couldn't vote. And we've just gotten more rights as time goes on. So I don't know if it's anything
It's
new.
our time. Yeah.
But,
Okay.
it's like we're getting liberties one after the other, and it's just compounding on top of each other.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah, go
hold
ahead.
on. Yeah, but I think that I don't think there's an issue with, and we've made this. Greg mentioned this before. Like, it's not about the issue of not elevating women, but it's coming at the expense of intentionally, degrading, or lessening the awareness of, or the roles of men in a sense. And so, and there's always this funny dichotomy of if someone's elevating and someone's being, the assumption is that someone else is being lessened. But that's not always the case. But there are some issues in some cases here where it's kind of apparent, where, or easily, that we can deduct or deduce the fact that that may be what's occurring outside of the money. So in addition to the person who owned the Equalizer, that was responsible for the two movies, he died in January of 2021. Deborah Martin Chase then takes over, and I don't know how, I don't know all the intricacies of the contracts and everything else,
Right.
but she becomes the producer. Then Queen Latifah becomes the star, and then I think, to your point, Walter, and I think Greg may have mentioned as well, was Queen Latifah the best qualified? Like, I mean, was there not another? And I get Diamandi's point too about roles held by LGBTQ plus out of that community, because they do draw in a lot of dollars, etc. So there's a lot, I think, that's kind of going on in this, but things happen, I think, very, very quickly, in order for us to be able to have a true assessment of it in this one particular case. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Diamante, what do you think about what Ernest said? Did you look at it from that standpoint, or?
Yeah, I can see that recently there has been a big push for women, and I'm not exactly sure what the impetus for that was, but I'm thinking about like Malala, the girl in India. Well, she's a young woman now. She
Okay.
wanted to get an education, and they said no, so she went to school anyway, and they shot her. And she went back to school. They shot her again, and now she got a big platform for that. She speaks all over the world.
Wow.
So that's an extreme case, but there have been a couple things like that. Greta Thunberg has spoken out publicly, and so there are a lot of younger women who are getting a platform, and I think that's part of what's bringing more attention to giving women more control in business. But I'm not sure where that came from. Yes, these incidents happen, but I believe they could have happened in the past and never gotten the news coverage that they do now. So I'm not really sure what the driving force is.
Okay. Even just questioning the loyalty of Black women is a sensitive issue. We all know that, right? Because we know what Black women do. All right. So, but they can say, meaning the Black woman, they can say, well, I got mine. You just got to go and get yours. So what do y'all guys think about that? When I say y'all guys, I'm speaking male, female. Anybody want to respond to that?
That would definitely be a problematic point of view if the attitude towards it is we got ours, you got to go get yours. If you're going to be that superficial about it, then that's a problem in itself. And I don't even want to say that is prevalent. We might hear it, but I don't know if that's necessarily prevalent because I still, and I maintain, I don't have a problem with seeing Black women advance. I don't have a problem with that, and extremely supportive of it, because if we're going to advance as a family, we can't advance separately. That's what I maintain, and
That's facts.
and then that goes as us as a race and as a people. We have to do it together and not individually, and definitely not at the discretion of some third party. And that's the problem I have with this whole picture. Is it's usually at the discretion of the third party. And I would hope that it's not I'm gonna get mine and you're gonna get yours and you go get yours, which is like you say, that adds to the divide and conquer.
Right. So that's what I'm afraid of, that they can use this as a form of divide and conquer, as just one of the tactics. Divide and conquer being a strategy, to keep us apart. Because historically, it's been a case where Blacks don't support Blacks. So, this could be a issue that, plays into that. I don't want Black women to think that, we're somehow jealous or anything, but I do know that, there's been a history of this divide and conquer. So is this one of the things that they're trying to use now or leverage now to further split the Black family? So, Ernest, what do you think?
No, I would say not necessarily that historically that we haven't been supportive of one another. I think historically we have. I think historically this is the only thing. It's innate in us. I think that habitually there's been habits that have formed over time that have permeated from one generation to the next, and in some cases might have gotten worse due to other variables as far as where you came from and other socioeconomical challenges in geographical areas. However, I believe that there's an essence for us all to want to be able to be together and to do to lift each other up. But to your point about the sense of I got to get mine and everything else, I think first because Black women have been subjected to a lot of misogyny and in many cases not being able to be elevated or to at least fairly compete for certain jobs, individuals, oftentimes marginalized groups, feel justified when it's quote unquote their turn, or they're the ones who happen to be winning at the time. And so then it seems out of order for someone to then complain who has been in a position where, and I think we overuse the word privilege, but who have been in a certain position for a particular period of time, and then now they're complaining about being moved. The thing about the black man and black woman is that we've always been less than everyone else. But just the same way as they create this mindset of quote unquote white privilege between the poor whites and blacks. See, blacks and whites both used to be slaves, but so long as you were white, you were quote unquote, you were better. So now just because we're men, we happen to be better. But discarding the fact that we're still black men and still treated and subjected to many of the things that we're seeing that are happening within the social justice realms right now more than anybody else. And so I think sometimes we forget about those things when we're talking about, in our monetary lives and how we move forward. And I think we just need to be reminded of that and figure out how can we make this movement together without stepping on, and really lift each other up, as lift as we climb, so to speak.
Yeah, because I believe that regardless if it's a woman that gets the role, that brings in the money, that becomes Queen Latifah or whatever you want to. It doesn't matter to me, because to me, at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation. All right, for the black family. Do you agree with that?
I have something to add as a consideration. Oh, sure. So I would say, okay, so it seems like maybe we would, okay, well, let's consider women having a more prominent role in society is a relatively new thing, especially in entertainment. That's very new in the last, like, I don't know, let's say 5 to 10 years. Like, consider a few years ago when Ellen had her show, right? She came out as gay and the show ended, even though it was a highly rated show before that. That would never happen right now. And that was just a few years ago. So sometimes when something becomes trendy, it's it's trendy for a little bit and it starts to level off. So maybe we're in that phase. It's like when you get a new friend, you may talk to them every day or a few times a week when you first meet them. And then after a while, they kind of fall into the rotation of your other friends, and you may talk to them less frequently because you've kind of established that foundation of knowing each other. So I feel like we're so new in women having this prominent role. Maybe we're in that phase right now, and maybe it'll start to level off as time goes on. Just
Okay.
something to consider, think about.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it was. You belong to, what is it? SAG, Screen Actors Guild, and when it comes to entertainment, I mean, we look at you as a subject matter expert because you're in it and we're not. So if I use uh, what I said earlier about the entertainment industry playing divide and conquer against black men and black women, I don't know whether you've seen that play out in front of you, or maybe one of your associates has discussed something that may align with what I'm saying, uh, or you haven't seen it. It's not the case. It's just a trend, and you're just looking at it purely from that perspective.
I'm not saying it's not happening. I guess I just choose not to look at things that way. And instead, I look at, okay, how can I use what's going on for the betterment of everyone, or what's the positive here? So I tend to look at it a little more, try to from a positive perspective, I guess.
Okay. All right. No. That's good. That's great. I mean, hey, you have to take care of your business, right? So that's what you're doing. I understand that.
Can I quickly add one other thing?
Yes.
I think this is another good example of why representation matters. And I mean representation of everyone, not just men, not just women. There's black men, there's black women, there's Asian community, Indian community. people from South America, because if you write a character, traditionally it's been white men. There were women, but mostly white men writing all of this stuff. So I don't know if anybody
Right.
saw the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reunion,
Yes.
and they talked about some of the actors talked about the privilege of how the writers on their table reads really listen to them and listen to them say,
Hmm.
a black child would never talk to their black parent this way. This isn't how it works in the black community.
Right.
So it's representation really helps there, and I hope that over time we will get more of it so that our stories are more accurately portrayed, and that we're
Hmm.
able to portray positive um, positive aspects of our cultural heritage, and not just
Yeah.
the negative stuff.
Right. More positive role models and not negatives like the reality shows.
Yeah,
Right.
and we're not always thugs and drug dealers. It's getting
Exactly.
better, but we have a long way to go.
Hmm.
So that black exploitation is still with us, right? Still alive and well, right?
Yeah.
I would
Just a more
say
modern
yes.
time of it. Yeah.
I would say
Definitely.
so.
Hmm.
I would say so.
You just
Definitely.
updated it. That's all they did.
Yeah.
That's all
All
they
Definitely.
right,
did.
Denise.
But I think one of the things that I really don't want to, it, it it's we let them portray exactly what a split there is between a
Hmm.
man and a woman when you promote,
Yep.
like I say, okay, so I'm sure that there's a certain percentage of interracial couples in this country. Okay, there's a certain percentage of black women. There's a percentage of black women that have white husbands. That
Yes.
is not a problem.
Hmm.
That's not a problem. That's something there is no problem in the world. But if you watch television and look at the movie and look at
Yes.
TV sometimes,
Yes.
the percentage of black women that have white spouses is much higher than it exists in society. But
Exactly.
that's the agenda Hollywood wants to push. And one of the things
Yes.
Diamandi mentioned that, was an elephant in the room, a lot of people don't want to deal with it, is that
Hmm.
Hollywood would rather promote the gay agenda than the strong black male agenda. That's a problem.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a
Yes.
problem. That's
That's
a
a
Yep.
problem.
problem.
Big
And
problem.
That's a
that's
problem.
what we see. That's what we see is
Big problem. You see it in
we
the
gotta come into
commercials.
the understanding that the reality show is so far from reality, and the things that Hollywood portrays, that's fantasy land. That's not
Hmm.
necessarily the way it exists, but
Exactly.
its portrayals have a direct impact on how people feel about themselves, how we're dealt with in public, and that's something that we got to speak out on and continue to speak out
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why you need more directors like Regina King making One
on.
Night
Absolutely,
in Miami.
absolutely.
We need a lot more of her. We had Tyler Perry. He started as dressing as a woman, to get himself out there. But look at him
Yeah, I was
now.
getting ready to get to that.
He owns
Hmm.
studios.
Yeah, but
They
you know
need to
what?
have, if they have their own Hollywood. I mean, you have so many actors with money, but there's something to me, there's something holding them back, because you got Denzel Washington, you have Holly Berry, you have all of these stars that have had Oscars, they make millions of dollars. Why haven't they all gotten together? And I mean, look at Oprah Winfrey. She did, The Color Purple. Even
But
though it wasn't positive role models in that film, but Regina King with One Night in Miami, you have um,
Shonda,
Judas, Shonda
Mhm.
Rhimes, right, and then
right?
you have all these black films that are coming out, you know, with positive role models, But if Hollywood has anything to do with it, for example, the self-made movie with Madam C.J. Walker, that
Right.
Hollywood had to add some negative roles in there, because that's just Hollywood. They wouldn't accept a positive storyline. They had to depict somebody in there to be negative.
Well, that's
So
their agenda.
that's yeah, it's true.
That's their agenda. And you can see that from the commercials, from somebody selling soap to mattresses. You know,
Mm,
it's always something negative. And the
mm.
way they portrayed the black man, I mean, it's like they're trying to phase him out. You
I
know,
mean, why would
what
you
we're
that's
say
talking
that
about
though?
now because,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
they trying to phase him out. I don't have nothing against women moving up and moving ahead. We should be on equal grounds, equal pay, equal
right,
everything.
right,
That's
right,
not
right.
their focus with the
right.
1%. If they had it their way, we would still be sitting in the kitchen making grits and fish for them, you know? But we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
But in the meanwhile, you don't phase the black man out just because you
Right.
want to get ahead. You know,
Hmm.
you all about the dollar, you chasing the dollar. Fine, if that's your purpose, but don't act like crabs in the barrel. You
Hmm.
stepping over everybody to get yours. I got mine. No, because you're gonna get
Right.
yours now, but you ain't gonna have it later. Okay, because you're
Hmm.
not getting it on a solid foundation. You're not building it on a solid foundation. That's why Spike Lee and Tyler Perry had those riffs for years about the images that he was portraying. He did that to make the money. And now he made
Right.
the money. Now he can buy the land. Now he can buy the land to build the studio. He had a dream. He had a purpose. I get that. Now he has to go in a different direction
But if
with the
if you look
roles
at
and
what
the movies he put out.
if you look at what
Right.
Tyler Perry accomplished, he exploited the weakness that we talk about. He said,
Yeah.
"What's going to get more attention? Me being a strong black man, or me putting on a dress
Right.
and looking like a female?"
Right.
Right.
He had to do what he had to
Well,
do to
guess
get
what?
where he is now.
And again, I'm not
Right.
saying anything about what his plan was, what his,
Right.
it is what it is. But he
Right.
did exploit just that weakness that we're talking about,
Oh,
and
not
now
not
he's in a
just that.
better
Yeah.
position to do, to
Yeah.
make a statement. I'll give him that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, Greg.
Well, that was
Not
an
not just
individual
that.
choice, an individual thing. Yes.
Hmm.
It wasn't just that. He also exploited the dynamics of the black family.
Hmm.
He
Mhm.
exploited
That's
the
true.
dynamics of the black man and the black woman because he
Hmm.
was always some. I mean, was it Diary of a Mad Black Woman?
oh
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I
Right.
saw that.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of
yeah,
his films
yeah. I
were
mean,
abusing women. Hmm.
yeah,
yeah.
Right.
the
But he brought it to light.
absolute worst versions of a black man
Of
and
us.
a black and right the absolute
Right.
worst. I mean,
Yeah.
he made millions off of it, right?
Hmm.
Right.
But again, how long does it take to redirect what someone else has seen over decades? He's only had the studio for the matter of 3 years.
Hmm.
He's done a
Right.
little bit with it, and I know there's probably some great things that's going to come out of it. But he's been
Right.
on the scene for over 20
A
years.
long
His
Right.
time.
show, right? His show's been
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
back since 1996. I think is when
Yes.
he first produced his first stage play.
Right.
Right.
Right. And how
So
many
this
times has he retired that character and brought it back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, so this yeah, it's much deeper. I mean, the conversation that we're talking about, I think, I mean, one, it is a great conversation to have, especially as it pertains to entertainment, and obviously there's many different aspects of entertainment. Is we can talk about it in a way that it permeates in the homes, in the professional workforce, in blue collar, white collar, whatever have you. But there is the acceptance of it is what it is. I think is one thing that we have to retire as well. I think
Right.
the other part is that because it's Hollywood and they control the narrative. No, I think that that's the part that we have to be able to figure out the best ways to being able to get that back. There are so many different platforms in which that we can create our own movies. But the thing is that we have to go out and support those efforts. I think that
Right.
one, that those who are doing the creation needs to be transparent about
Hmm.
how they're doing it, why they're doing it, and what's going to happen. And in that
Right.
way, it allows for us to being able to buy in and being able to support those very things. And I mean, we have a probably 1.34 trillion dollar
Trillion.
buying power as it relates to the black community. There's probably nothing that we couldn't do if we made a concerted effort to do so.
Oh yeah,
Amen to
Right.
that.
absolutely. If we
Yeah.
can all get
Yes.
on the same page, that's the challenge. We can't get on the
Yes.
same page. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been through this exercise before, right? I know. I was reading. I was looking at a documentary about black men. If you're a black actor and you want to rise, somewhere through that rise from the bottom to the top, you are going to wear a dress. All right. And this goes for people like Wesley Snipes, Martin Lawrence,
Yeah.
Tyler
Ving
Perry.
Rhames.
But most
Kevin
of your
Hart.
very
Right.
successful black men, somewhere in their
Play the
career,
gay part.
Hollywood
Mhm.
got to put them
That's right.
in a
Yeah.
dress.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen to the black actor, I mean the white actors as much.
Even Will Smith.
Yeah, we got to be in a dress. They're gonna put
Yeah.
you in a
Yeah,
dress.
yeah. He
Vin
played a
Diesel.
gay
He played
actor.
a gay role.
He wanted to, yeah, he was in a gay
He was a
scene.
gay scene, yeah. He was. Will
Yeah,
Smith.
Yeah, 6
yeah,
Degrees of Separation was an
There you
excellent
go.
movie. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was.
yeah,
I enjoyed that movie.
yeah.
All the acting in it was good.
Yeah, I guess that's the way the black man has to kiss the ring. You're gonna kiss my ring,
Yeah.
or you're gonna wear this dress.
Well, if that's the objective
So
I mean, if that's
I
the role
will
you seek, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I don't oftentimes talk about. So I used to model a long time ago, and I there are some. I was I guess an indecent proposal was made,
Mm.
and it was a matter of fact, it was a there was a, I guess, a handler of this prominent uh, black philanthropist who had money, and he was recently at the time. This is in the early 2000s, but they made an indecent proposal. And the thing about it is, a lot of individuals, whether you're modeling, you're getting into in some movies or entertainment in videos or whatever have you, there are some things that have happened in awkward situations that people are put in. And if it hasn't happened now, it will happen soon for many individuals if they want to make it in that industry.
Industry, yeah.
I
And
guess
so
that
I
goes to
stopped
say with the
modeling.
Me Too movement.
Well,
Yeah,
see, I had
Right?
that. I got a list of questions concerning
Yeah.
the Me Too movement. So my
Mhm.
wife pointed out that it was founded by a black woman, which I did not know. All
yes.
right, because I wanted to know whether a lot of what we're seeing is the result of the of black women joining or supporting or the Me Too movement, which is, I mean, what it stands for. Yeah, I agree with it. Sexual harassment, abuse, rape, and all this kind of stuff to get ahead. Do you think that the result of more black women on TV now is coming from the Me Too movement? I did want to ask that question. I do. You guys have that. Or you don't think it's relevant? You don't think it's relevant to the Me Too movement?
No. Well, I
I
don't
don't
know
think
because
so either.
I
I
don't,
don't
I don't
think
think
so.
Yeah,
so.
me neither. I think the train had already left the station.
Right.
Right. I don't think
That
so.
that
Not
side.
just saying it as a woman. I just think you have a lot of talented women out there that were great. I mean, Regina King was a childhood. She was acting from a little girl. She made her props. She made her name in the industry. So you have a lot of talented women out there that people are finally backing them up. That they're extremely talented. They're getting a sponsorship. To make their way. I think they're just talented women, and it's our time. It has nothing to do with Me Too.
Okay. Well, my impression was that the Me Too movement hijacked the black women's movement because there were so many black women joining the Me Too movement. Okay. I mean, no, let me take that back. I didn't say that properly. White women took over the Me Too movement.
I was going to let him finish and think I
Okay.
was going to get him.
Not only that,
Yeah,
but
white women took over the Me Too movement. I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me. You say, no. I mean, they took it over. So, I mean, they running the show on the Me Too movement. So now,
That's because their money ran out. They need another check.
well, I can say the same thing for the feminist movement because when we had the black struggles back in the '60s with the Black Panthers and stuff like that,
Right.
what happened? Here comes the feminist movement, and it just totally knocked our agenda off the platform.
Mm.
You know,
That's
white women
interesting.
came in. Things that happened in our community did not get the focus that it needed because of the feminist movement. But the feminist movement wasn't about really about us. It was about them.
Right.
It was about them.
Okay, I'm looking in the chat box now, and I see my wife saying the black women control 65% of the economy, of that economy. So, Marjorie, do you want to come on and speak to that? Just indicate it in the chat chat
No.
box.
She
No,
said
she doesn't.
no.
She's shy. She likes to be in the background, behind the camera.
I see.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but she
It's
has
all
strong
good. So
opinions. Yeah, she talks to me a lot about this. So, but that's all good. It makes me think,
I think there's some truth to that.
Yeah,
I think it
it
is.
is.
Our buying power is strong, and people shouldn't even really be focusing on the corona zapping out the economy. They better worry about black people coming together and zapping out the economy, just
that's
knocking
for
it out.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
because if we decide one day that with all the things, the racial tension and stuff that's going on in this country, we are not going to shop for a whole week. Forget a day or two, a week. We can shut this whole entire economy down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
true.
The only
All right.
problem with that is that we don't have the stomach for it.
Right.
The strength.
That right.
Yeah.
They don't have the endurance for it. I mean, that's
I
Yeah.
been
couldn't do it for
tried.
one day. One day they told everybody to do Black Monday. I was like, okay.
I can
We
do
Well,
it.
you got to do it
and
for
But
at
the
some
least
we
one
can.
focus
day.
got to be
You
on
got
the
to
young
do it.
people, though. The
I'm with you.
focus
Yeah.
has to be
Yeah,
on the young
yeah,
people. The
I
old
agree.
timers can do it. The young people are the ones who's got to come on board and make an effort to keep it going and keep it strong. Because we're too busy sitting up here. I mean, take for instance, people on my job. These young people, they come in here. We was making so much overtime in the month of December. It was crazy. People were getting 8 hours on top of their 8 hours. And what were they doing? What were they planning? Oh, I got to get my child a gaming system. But you don't have cable so they can online school, do their schoolwork. They're buying fake eyelashes,
Mm.
eyebrows, fake hair, fake, all the stuff that has no significance. I mean, if your self esteem is that low that you feel that this is what you have to do with your money, fine. But it's not a necessity, it's a want, it's a desire. But they have to get their priorities in order and say, hey, we're going to come together for our community and make this thing work. Everybody has to partake in it, not just the
But
elderly, not just the old timers, the young people too. We have to come
so
together and make a solid effort to show them if you want equality, you want change, this is what you got to do to the white man and let him
what?
know his system can be shut down if we don't buy
Yeah, but the
anymore.
Okay.
thing. Yeah, but the
Yeah, go
thing
ahead.
is that to your point, they do those things because that's what they see. We just
Yeah,
talked about the reality TV shows. All of those women that are
yeah,
on, majority of those women that are on there. I won't speak ill of anyone who happens to not, but they all got
right,
fake lashes. They all wearing
right,
bronzer,
Right.
contour, makeup, and they got
Looking a different color.
in, implant. Right, exactly. Look, I can't stand it every time I see it on television. But
I
Yeah.
they
hate
got
it.
they got
Right.
implants everywhere.
Right.
So and
Hmm.
and so the thing about it is that that's what unfortunately those are the images. So again, when we're talking about elevating the black woman in the more prominent or being prominently featured, okay, I'll say it in that way.
Right.
Being prominently featured, is it featuring the very best of us? Is that what we're reflecting in our society? Because if you're just talking if you're talking about what's on your job, then that's what's being reflected. That's they're reflecting society. Society's being reflected on television.
Right,
And those individuals who are at your job, they can't afford to do it. They overtime working for something that they can't afford to really look like, you know.
exactly.
And so then we do have some prominent roles of strong black women, but not enough of those are being seen. But then at the same
Projected,
time,
exactly.
right, but then at the same time, they're decreasing the strong black males being featured on television. Luke Cage lasted, I think, one season,
Two.
yeah,
I was
two
so
seasons,
upset when they got rid of that show.
right,
Oh
Man
my
down.
goodness.
Uh,
right. But
That
but
was
he was but
such
he
a
was
good
good.
show.
It
Yeah.
was, but he was good enough to be a part of a group because he
Right.
wasn't the feature, the lead
Right. The
of
Marvels.
of his community. So again,
Right.
there is that dynamic that is there, because what we're seeing, we're not seeing men take on these stronger roles
Mm-hmm.
in our communities,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't
Right.
have, they're not being reflected. I think Diamandi has said that representation is important,
Right.
and
Right.
and I think to uh emphasize on her point is the example that was given about those women who are buying these fake lashes, and people who are
Mm-hmm.
standing in these long lines. I saw a picture of a woman standing in a line for Jordans
Mm.
with a baby
Mm-hmm.
in the cold
Right.
Mm-hmm.
to buy some sneakers for
Mm-hmm.
$200, but the baby ain't had
Mm-hmm.
no coat on.
Mm.
You ain't had
Mm-hmm.
no coat on, and we in the middle of a pandemic, but you
Right.
outside
Mm-hmm.
waiting on
Right. Right.
shoes.
Right. It's the role models that they follow. You know, remember, Diane Carroll was the first black
Yeah. Yeah.
actress to have her own show, Julia. Remember that? She,
Yes.
you know,
Not
positive
true.
role
Not
model.
true.
Who was before that?
I'm gonna. Oh, damn it.
Well, anyway, she was a
Yeah,
positive
but
role model. You know,
role
even though she
model
was
for us, right?
a single mother,
Right.
everything in her life was positive. That show didn't depict us as, you know, at that time, what was that, in the 60s? You know, we
Right.
were just maids or whatever, you know, positions that we were able, jobs that we were able to get.
Subservient
But,
positions. Yeah.
right. But she, you know, this is the time. They're looking at these reality shows. These are their role models that they have, unfortunately, you know, and
Sad.
that's what they're following. Yeah, that's what they're
Okay.
following.
All right. So, guys, we're pushing up against the clock. Um, does any of the panel members have anything they want to say as we close out?
I think
As
that
Yeah, go ahead, Ernest.
Yeah, I think that this was a topic worth talking about. I think that the onion has many layers to it.
Yes.
And I don't believe that there is a that there's not going to be a magic wand, I think, to being able to kind of fix everything. But I think that
Right.
if we do focus on some of one, we have to come into agreement with what it is that we want to say and how it is that we want to say it, and then
Mm.
develop the individuals around it that's going to be able to project that. And then we have to be willing to endure um, the long haul, to being able to substantiate it, to make it, not only make it formidable, to make it sustainable as well.
Right.
But I believe that we can do it. I think that we, again, platforms like this with young actresses like Miss Diamandi and others who are coming out there to want to engage, with their expertise about what's happening within the industry, and how best to being able to galvanize the community, to being able to bring forward stories that need to be told, and then as actors and actresses being able to tell those stories that are being brought out of the community.
Okay, great. Diamandi?
Yes, thank you. I would just love to add that again, I'm always looking at, what I can do, what we can all do to push a positive agenda. And that is to consider where we spend our money and where we spend our time as a Black community is what ends up driving trends and driving success. So
Yes.
while we're talking about, the Real Housewives and the Love and Hip Hops of the world dragging us down, if we truly believe that, let's not patron those
Yeah.
programs
Boycott them.
Right.
because the
Mm-hmm.
higher the
Boycott them.
ratings, the more money they make, they bring them back for like multiple seasons.
Right.
And on the other side, let's talk about what we can do positively, which is support good when we see in the community. So when you
Right.
see a movie or TV show with a strong Black lead and you think it's great for the community, watch it, tell your friends and family, post on social media about it. Because I've heard so many times from prominent people in the industry, whether they be filmmakers, news
Mm.
anchors, whatever, it's the negative that sells, unfortunately. So there are people
Yes.
out
Right.
here who would love to tell positive stories about our community, but they can't get the funding for it because people don't
Right.
think it's going to sell. And in the past, it hasn't sold. So let's be the change we want to see. That's my take.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I agree with both Ernest and Diamante. I mean,
Yes.
I think we gotta have the concept. If we walk into a restaurant and they're feeding us garbage, they're gonna keep feeding us garbage as long as we keep eating garbage, as long as we keep paying for garbage. But once we increase our consciousness, then we're held to a higher level of responsibility, and then it's up to us to make them up their game. Stop doing what you're doing to us, or we're gonna make you feel this economically. Don't we can't keep being sheep to them. We gotta let them know that you can't pit one of us. You can't pit me against the black woman. That's not going to work. So now they have to come differently. They have to try
exactly.
something else. So
Exactly. I'm glad you
once
said that.
we increase our consciousness and start knowing better and doing better, then they're going to have to do the same. And that's what we accomplish. And one of the only ways we're going to increase that consciousness is to keep talking about it like we're doing.
Right.
All right. All right, Denise.
And we need to set our standards so high that we even have problems keeping up with them. Okay?
Yeah.
No, it seems like they're so low now. It's like we're down with the earthworms. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you have to uplift each other. Invest in yourselves.
You have to.
Great. Okay,
you get bad service somewhere.
All right.
Okay, you're not going to stay in business.
All right. Okay.
Amen.
All right. So,
thank you.
Yeah, Michelle.
No, I was just going to say, it is. I was just going to say, we have to invest in ourselves, support each other. During this time, Black-owned businesses are striving more. As far as the entertainment industry is concerned, it's booming for women. And as long as it's us, I don't care if it's male or female, we just have to support each other.
Right. Yeah. It's a win-win. All right.
It's a win-win either way.
All right. So, Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you. But before I turn it over to you, I do want to thank everybody for joining. If you have not followed us, please click that follow button. All right. And like and share this podcast. Also, we will be sending it out to the various podcast platforms Sunday evening, such as iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and wherever you get your podcast. Doesn't matter. We're out there. Take my word for it. You'll find us.
We're everywhere.
Okay? All right. So let me just turn it over to Michelle, and you can take it down, Michelle. Thank you.
All right. Thank you to our sponsors, Beauty Blends by Ami, Soap and Love, and Michelle Sweeney Hair. We thank our guest panel, Denise, Ernest, Greg, and Diamandi. Thank you so much. You guys were awesome. And of course, we thank our loyal audience for tuning in and joining us on the Walt Weekly Friday Live. You can follow us at www.thewaltweekly.com. We are on IG and Facebook, The Walt Weekly, Twitter, Walt Weekly, Podbean, The Walt Weekly, iTunes, Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Pandora, and other streaming platforms. We thank you all for tuning in to The Walt Weekly. Have an awesome weekend and be safe and stay healthy.
My sentiments exactly. Take care. Bless you.
Peace.
Blessings.